Good day, everyone. How are you? Hello, Maria, CW, and et al. CJ, I know. Denise, how is everyone? Good to see you. I just wanted to bring another relic that I have, and I wanted to show you this one. Let's see if I turn that way a little bit. You might be able to see. Let's see if I can focus to get out of my face. There we go. And that one is St. John Fisher, okay? And I'm pretty sure that was an English martyr, I think. I read up on it once, but it was a while ago. So in any case, that's what we have, another one of those first-class relics. So again, any of you men want to see me about becoming priests and receive one of these so you can have on your altar, please contact me. I had one jump on it originally, and then he found out what we believe, and I never heard from him again. It takes courage. It takes courage. Also, today is Free for All Friday, and thank Deum, it's Friday. It is the end of the week, and usually it's a work week, so that's why we say that. And also, we're going to be having stuttering lessons, because I'm stuttering a lot today. Tomorrow is when I'm taking off to go to Pennsylvania, so we will have Mass extra early. I figured I'd get up early, and so I don't expect you Western United States people to get up for that. But if you do, you do. I'm going to try and have Mass at 6:30 a.m. Eastern time. So that's an hour earlier. I wanted to get on the road by 7:30, and because I have about a 5.5 hour ride to get to the altar site. All right, so we're going to continue with money. What is money? What is the straw man? What is the trick that they have been tricking us with? And as Lorraine pointed out to me yesterday, it could be what Bush said when he said that one time, if they ever found out what we have done, they'll chase us down in the streets. And it could very well be what he was talking about was the theft of all our ability to prosper by removing the way that we pay things, the way that we settle debts, the way that we use money. And it's always been an issue with the Beanie people. And hello, Peter. How are you? And let's see what Hindenpit is. Yes, absolutely. So we'll continue with our prayers. Let's get right into the straw man continued. I actually forgot where I left off because I didn't mark it last week, and a whole week goes by. So I'm going to just kind of rehash a little bit, but move into some important points of understanding. All right, let's put St. John Fisher back. And we begin with our rising prayers. Good day, rising. And for those in Europe, good afternoon, probably. In nomine Dei, matronam nostra, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. And I'm glad to see that they have not been able to create the chaos that they were looking to create. See, the less we resist their attempt at creating chaos, I can't remember, don't know if I said that right. If we do not riot and become crazed loons, then what happens is that they can't fulfill their promise of bringing in heavy police enforcement, and that they need that in order to change rules and do all sorts of things. So by us remaining calm and praying our rosaries, what ends up happening is it becomes evident that they look really bad, and change begins to happen that way. And this is the way we bring in the Catholic monarchy. Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Trinitarian Theophany and in Catholic contemplation. Humbly venerate the Divine Family. Thank you again for your donations, Peter and LM, who wished me a successful trip this weekend. I really appreciate them. They are helping, and it looks like we should be able to pull this off. If Greg is able to help tomorrow, that would be awesome. Otherwise, it's going to be 3 skinny people trying to lift 300 pounds of granite. Most holy and venerable Trinitarian Theophany, one divine family, I believe that thou art here present. I venerate thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. O Trinitarian Theophany, relying on thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain the pardon of my sins, the help of thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Matronam Nostrae. O Trinitarian Theophany, I love thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank the Trinitarian Theophany for the many graces that we receive and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to the Trinitarian Theophany. O most holy Trinitarian Theophany, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of the Trinitarian Theophany the graces which are necessary to us. Thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength, O Trinitarian Theophany, to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O Dea Matronam Nostrae, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. The act of contrition. O most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Dea Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. but most of all because they offend thee, O most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum matronam nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. Okay, we continue on with Meet Your Straw Man. And if anybody missed it last week, I'm just going to read what the straw man is. It is a fictitious legal entity created with the hope that as a child grows up, he will be fooled into believing that he is actually the straw man, which he most definitely is not, and to pay all sorts of imaginary costs and liabilities which get attached to the straw man by con artists. And yeah, it's more than con artists. They're thieves and crooks. Okay, so we talked about how the straw man is created from a birth certificate. Okay, and that on the back, you can see on the back of the birth certificate is a number, now they make them with barcodes and a number, and those are bonds. They turn them into bonds and create this entity. The trick and how they trick you is through legalese. Okay, legalese is a secret language invented to trick you. It uses English words but attaches secret meanings to those words with the sole intention of stopping you from believing that what they are saying to you has nothing to do with the normal meaning of the English language. Their purpose is to cheat you and rob you. And it's not just in English. It's mostly, they're the ones who came up with it, this whole trickery and deceit. Again, it's through deception. And this is why we must teach the virtues, again, at the earliest age, and really, really avoid, as a Catholic today, you should not, cannot really, it's almost sinful to send your children to public schools, and even to today's Catholic schools. Okay. For example, with legalese, they will ask you, do you understand? They constantly, in police stops and in courtrooms and things like that, they'll ask you, do you understand? They always want you to commit to saying yes. And obviously in English it means, do you comprehend? I mean, in normal language, it means, do you comprehend what I am saying to you? And if you do, you would say, yes, I do comprehend. But these sneaky, underhanded people have changed the meaning in legalese to mean, do you stand under me? Okay, so do you accept to be a slave, basically? And do you grant me authority over you so that you have to obey whatever I tell you to do? One story I'm going to tell you is when I was doing this years and years ago and learning about this and decided to test it, I was arrested for failure to identify myself and for what was it? Disobeying an officer. All right, and so when it came to time for court, and of course I refused to sign things, and if I did it, under duress or without recourse. But again, this was very early in the stages of people discovering this thing, so it was all testing. So we were like the initial martyrs, if you will, who were trying to figure it all out, because they had it down pat. They had it all worked out. And by the time, so before we enter the court, I was standing around with a bunch of other people that had to go into the courtroom, and they had asked, they had the one of the officers outside. I'm not sure if it was a bailiff or a regular deputy or policeman or whatever, but they said, okay, you have to sign this before you go in. So I'm reading this, and they, nobody else read it. They just signed it. Okay. And this is the problem with, public schooling. You from your formative years, you get put in and you get sat down in front, and you're told by this person, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is when you go. You have to ask if you got to go to the bathroom, you have to do this and that. And so they're so trained in their formative years that, whoever's in charge, they're the ones who have to listen and obey. Okay, and the traditional Catholicism is guilty of that, which is extremely dangerous. It's called false obedience, and you have to watch that. So, getting back to that, what they wanted me to sign, it basically says, when you enter this court, and I'm paraphrasing, you understand that you give up your constitutional rights. And I was like, what? Okay, and people do not even know what that means who were around me, and they didn't. So basically, once you sign that, you actually, when you step through that door after signing that, you are totally at the mercy of the judge that's in there. And I don't even like to call him a judge because it's a crook. So that's what they begin with. Do you understand that? And then they say, then they trick you in with, basically, they have to tell you that they're going to take away your rights, though. At some point, they have to make it pretty clear. All right. And I'm sure you're probably going to want to know what happened. So I went in there, and I asked the entire courtroom. I turned around, and when it was my turn, because they made me go last because they knew I was going to be a problem. And they asked me, what is your name? And I was, that's another trick right there. What is your name? Okay. And when you say your name, okay, there's immediately assuming that you're taking on the straw man name. Okay. Because when you say your name, you can't say it in a different way than what it's printed on the birth certificate. We learned now that you can actually spell it out and say that's my name, or you can bring your birth certificate in and say, here's the entity, okay, James or whatever. These are all things that we've learned since. So, and again, I didn't know much of that. I kind of had an idea that the name was going to be a problem. But anyway, I asked if anybody in the courtroom had a claim against me, because this is a commercial endeavor of the court. This isn't